Yeah, man. Here we are again, Jamar.
Coach D, what's up, baby?
It's Thursday, man. It's Inspire, Create, and Empower. Here we are.
How are you?
I am sitting in my chair, staring at a camera.
Oh, man. What? Hey, Coach D, I want to tell you I love you, bro.
I love you too, man. And I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. We're here. We never know what someone's going through or working through unless we step in their same steps and roll through their same path, right? So I think everyone in the world we're in today, everyone's experiencing things that we know nothing about. And so we must be patient and operate from a place of grace and encourage and support each other right now. So
and sensitivity, that brings us to our topic today. The environment that surrounds you influences in such a significant way that we need to be present, we need to be mindful, we need to be aware, and we need to accept things as they are. Jamar, right?
Right. Hey, man, can we give Crispin like a power hug? I don't know how we do. Like,
we love and appreciate you too, Crispin.
Bam!
Look,
Crispin,
hey, look, I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're doing, but maybe you could pop in and show everybody your moving face because we can do that. I mean, I'm sure everybody does. That's how it works.
Yeah. Hey, Crispin, we love and appreciate you too, brother. And just, thank you for your support and being here and being a part of the Vested community.
Hey, when we have 1 million people, Jamar, we can throw a shout out to Crispin because he was one of our first few. So
yeah, absolutely.
Your mom, your daughter.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking on that, man, right? We talked about it.
Yeah.
Having that, my daughter on, Vested community, my daughter, she's 10, and Coach D is totally open to her being a guest on our show and having that vibration from someone who's 10, their perspective in life, but also because I've been conditioning her on mental toughness and being a leader and just sharing her vibration in life. And there's so much she does for me to help me stay on my game. So I think it'd be awesome to have a show where we dedicate it for children and having one future child leader talking to other future child leaders. So just putting that out there, Vested community. We'll let you know when we cross that bridge.
Well, the cool part is that kids are so innocent. And I think that nowadays with the younger generation, they can take advantage of this multimedia idea. You don't see so many people just plugging into a television. We have E360, we have Roku, we have Fire TV, Android. Bam, check the banner up. It's like,
man, come on.
There we go.
Hey,
so follow us.
That's so awesome right there. Our tech team is amazing. We have one of the best tech teams on the planet, right? Come on.
Winner. Chicken dinner.
Tech department one day. Tech department.
Ooh, look
at
that. Hey, what's up? Right cool, man. What up, CRISPR? You are our first live guest, man. Well, not live guest, but chiming in on a device.
First like Facebook guest.
Hey. So you need to say something significant, man. What do you got for us?
Oh man, I don't know. So I got a fun one. As you know, I got hit with a fun bomb that I'm going through some legal stuff, and so it's kind of like there's gonna be I guess my word is there's always gonna be discomfort, but it doesn't have to be suffering. So sometimes these things are unavoidable, but you just got to go with them, and you keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Well, Crispin, stay till the end because it's in a weird way, intuitively. That's kind of one of the little clips that we're gonna play today that we got off YouTube. So it's gonna fall right into line.
Yeah. Hey, Crispin, before we let you go, brother, can you share us one thought? When we talk about how the environment influences all, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
To be honest, I'm one of those people that I try to generate my own happiness regardless of the environment that I'm in. So I think your environment is more based upon your frame of mind than anything else. So you
Awesome.
either determine your environment, or I guess your environment determines you.
Boom. Well, man, thank you, bro, for flying in, and thank you for sharing that message. So we're gonna talk on that talking point here soon. So we love you, bro.
You don't got to go home,
Cool.
but you can't stay here,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Thanks for tapping in.
Love you, bro. Hey, man, that was awesome.
That was cool. Look, see, now, Anna, this is how it works. This is how it works. Everybody's gonna follow us right in. This is how it's gonna work. That's the community. So we were talking with Tech Team, Winner Chicken Dinner the other day, and she put out there that she really wants to stimulate this show as an interactive process that people can, they can comment, but at the same time, like, get your face on, ask a question, participate. This is your show too.
Right. And that's part of the community. And that was right there. That was Annie Mae, my daughter's amazing mother, super mom, talking about our daughter, our future leader. She is a leader. So Annie Mae, we love you. You're one of the best mommies out there. Super mommy. Thank you so much for all you do for her. Hey, man. So embarking on this message today, and like you said, it's awesome how, we come together and we strategize, and sometimes, we're in different roles in our message, and sometimes we're leading from different perspectives together, but we're always here together. And today, we're teeing up one of my buddies, Mike Riddell, who is not only amazing husband, amazing father, amazing leader, mortgage expert, entrepreneur, man of faith. We get to talk about the environment, how it influenced all of us, and share a little bit about what he's doing in life, his vision of where he's going, and what his perspective is about how that environment influences all. And also too, as a guy who's out there helping many families, as an expert in the mortgage business, we want to highlight his company, TQL, and put them on the map, and just help him do more of what he's doing, which is helping more people. So Coach D, that's going to be the flow today, man.
Let's get him up here then. Okay. We try to inspire and create and empower from a vulnerable place where we honor the little kid on the inside. And in doing so, it's not just about the ingredients that go into the soup. It's about the way they all fall into alignment and come together. And sometimes it's not the easiest process, and sometimes we struggle. A lot of times when we read the news or we flick on the TV, we see the best version of an edited thing. Okay, we don't see it raw. And a lot of times we experience people's big successes, but we don't know what it takes to get there. So there's something extremely inspiring about what it takes to push through the tough stuff. So I think that today our guest is really going to be able to bring some realness to how to succeed, and then how to struggle and how to succeed again. So I don't know, Jamar, you want to kick this off? Should we drop the little inspire section?
Hey, you know what, man? I was thinking, let's bring him in now, and let's roll his video during the create, because he created that video, and let's roll that in the creation point. Ooh. But let's just bring brother Mike in right now.
Come on in, Mike.
Mike, you there, bro?
I'm here.
Yo,
let's do this. I hope you guys are ready.
Oh man, what's up, bro?
I would like to offer you thanks and praise for being on our show.
How you doing,
Thanks
man?
for having me on the show.
Oh man, thank you for being available. I heard this today. The best ability is availability. Who told me that?
Amen. I've said that once or twice.
Any backup Cowboys quarterback.
Yeah. Come on. But you look at this, Mike, and I want you to know who you're following up. Our first guest was Aaron Himes, the creator, the owner of E360, and he's such an amazing person and partner. And then brother Damien, right, was able to, invite and tee up Carson Palmer, which is a high school teammate for Damien. And that was just awesome to reach out that far in the universe. And then we had Christian Hosoi on here, who was he was like Michael Jordan back in the Tony Hawk days, right? Now we have you. So I just want to let you know the lineup that we had before you, bro. So it's just that we take this very seriously,
Love it.
So Can we start from the beginning real quick? I mean, one of the things that we asked Carson and Christian is like, okay, from an inspiration perspective, take me back to the little boy. Take me back to the kid that wants to succeed, and why and where it started, and the vulnerable little guy that gets pushed out into the world and figures out how to win. Where did it start?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'll take that question and I'll kind of spin it on you. You know, I think everyone starts from at that point that you just talked about. So, you know, when you think back about that, you know, we're all created equally. And, you know, when I think back about myself, you know, I was raised, and I talk about my faith quite often. So I hope you guys are comfortable with that on this show. I was raised as an apostolic Pentecostal, and it was very extreme. So for me, what I ended up going through with my family, I was raised at a very young age, going to church and some other things. But what ended up happening for me at that young of an age is it kind of turned off for me. It pushed me away. My parents always meant well by it. But what I ended up doing is I ended up pushing myself away from that quote unquote environment. So as a younger person, so to say, really didn't know what I wanted to do. But I'll kind of fast forward as a young boy, right? In a step family, I had a bunch of brothers. So we had 2 step brothers and one of my real brothers. And just to give you like some perspective, there was always battles in the house, right? I think, you know, those of you that raised with step families, there's always fights or there's this or there's that. So I was a scrapper. So, you know, we were always, you know, doing this or doing that. And talking a little bit more about my background, at about 17 or 18 years old, I was raised in a town it's a very small town. It's actually Lucerne Valley. It's a very small town in Southern California. And I joke, but the size of the town is very small. We had about 60 kids in our graduating class, and I was proud to be part of the top 10 out of that 60 kids. So what I ended up doing is I had 2 choices, and a lot of my friends went down a path of, you know, doing drugs, doing this, doing that, and I decided to go down a path of becoming a police officer. So I think when you ask that question, that's where my mind went. My mind is, you know, I like to say I'm brilliant and I think really fast. It's something I've trained and I've worked on and I understand. But that's the real pivotal moment when I feel like I chose a path, I picked it, I went with it, I focused on it, and I made it happen. So going into police work, that was a pivotal moment for me in making a choice. When I saw a lot of my friends that went down different paths, I chose the path to go and become a police officer. So that's kind of where it is. I think that was one of the biggest moments when I think about this is, you know, that's really defined where I started, where I came from. But, and I'm going to leave it to this for you guys to ask more questions. What it did for me is it put me in this position where I had to choose a different environment. And that different environment I chose was police work. I focused on getting to where I wanted to go, but I drifted from the environment and the Lord who provided everything for me. So I'm very big about my testimony, and I like to talk about it because I went down a path for about 8 years as a police officer. I loved what I did. I was, you know, doing a lot of great things as a police officer, but I found myself in a toxic environment. So I'm going to pass it back over to you guys, and I'll let you answer any questions you guys have to help your audience, your friends, and anybody that can relate to where I'm going with this.
Wow. Coach D, what's coming to your mind, man?
Okay, so here you are, right? You're this little kid, and it sounds like you're in a little smaller, like, school or town. You've got a lot of influences around you. So I'm interested in the little vulnerable boy and what it is that drives him towards being a police officer instead of a house painter or an architect or something, man. Massage therapist, man. I mean, why do you go into law enforcement?
That's a good question. I wanted to help people, and I felt like this was a great area. You know, being vulnerable. You know, I was raised and I saw, you know, I saw a lot of things in a step family that my parents never meant, but I saw a lot of favoritism and little things like this. So I felt like it was a great way to go into something where I had control. I could help people. I can continue to do this. And for me, being a police officer really related to just going out and helping people, right? That was my main emphasis behind it. I loved what it was. I went on one ride along and I completely like committed to it. I said, this is like, you get paid to do this. Like, I'm in. I love this, you know? So that was, I think, the biggest choice for me is, you know, I felt like I could help a lot of people in that era.
What did you believe at the time? What were your driving beliefs that led you towards thinking that the sparkle behind being a police officer would have fulfilled your purpose in a way that, like, here I am helping people, because you followed, or before you said it got toxic? So
right. You know, society definitely would be society. I think, you know, as you look at things, you look at you're raised in an environment and you look at things like, okay, either, hey, that's success, right? You look at a position, maybe a nurse, a teacher. You know, your parents might have an environment where they push you to become a doctor, right? Or they push you to become an attorney, and that's success to them, right? So for me, the way I was raised, that was something that was a good achievement. Like, wow, if I could become a police officer, that would be an awesome thing, or a firefighter, or, you know, anything like that. So I think that was a big eye opener for me. That was the biggest one for me.
A question, brother. You know, you look at today as what's going on in society, right, with law enforcement, and just first and foremost, you know, here at Vested Community and our Vested message, we're always higher law. We're always speaking from the highest perspective, and we want to thank anyone out there in law enforcement, anyone out there in any capacity in law enforcement, because being in law enforcement in the world we live in today is a totally different game than ever before. And so I just want to thank all of our brothers and sisters out there who are any aspect of law enforcement, because that right there, you know, it's not a job just for it's not a job for the weak. But Mike, you look at, you know, when you were there for 8 years in that environment, and you look at the environment today for what officers are exposed to, you know, where do you see the biggest difference?
Man, great question. I think the biggest difference right now, and I saw the shift when I was in the force, is just really living life in a fishbowl, right? You see a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking. Of course, you see a lot of things that are being exposed in the news right now. But definitely, in my opinion, just living life in the public's eyes, right? Everything you do, you're forced to make a decision, and essentially, you know, a lot of decisions out there are not being made right, or being highlighted as if they were not being made right, when, you know, you really don't know the thought process of what went into the call, what went into a bunch of different things, depending on, you know, where that call went, where it originated, what's the state of mind of the person. So there's a lot of factors that go into police work. And I'll be honest with you, it's such a job that, you know, we take on, and, you know, military too, you know, military is another big job. You deal with it, and you have to live your life with the decisions you make, you know, obviously after, you know, stepping into that environment. So right now, you know, to answer that quickly, I think it's really living in or seeing your life from a perspective of, you know, you're being Monday morning quarterback no matter what decision you're making.
Before we move on into the creation portion, tell me a little bit about how the environment of being a police officer helped shape you. Like, how did it feel? Talk to me about the feeling of going into being what you wanted to be, and then it kind of turning into something different than what you might have thought in your head or your heart. And then talk about the feeling of how that environment changed you to want to change your own environment.
All right, you guys got some complex questions, but I'm going to start with the beginning.
Come on, bro. Come on.
I'm going to start right here. So what I would say to answer your first part of your question is, you know, going into the police department, going into the police academy, going into what I wanted to do and wanted to become, it was it was probably one of the best things I ever chose to do. It gave me the discipline, right? It gave me integrity. It taught me the fundamental things that essentially I probably would have had a difficult time learning had I not done that at such a young age. So I became a cop at 20 years old. So 20 years old, I had my 21st birthday in the police academy, right? So the things it taught me was I have to show up, right? I show up. It taught me how to be, a young man. It taught me that I could provide for my family. It taught me that I could provide a really good family. And, I think the biggest piece of that was understanding the environment that I was in and understanding the powers we have as a police officer, right? So our fundamental duty was to protect, and lifeguard, protect property and people. So as you start to look at that and you step into an environment, for me, I went in and truthfully, my bachelor's degree was in organizational leadership. So my heart was always in leadership. So as I went into the environment, as I started looking around and as I started looking for advancement in that career, I knew really quickly, and I'm going to keep it general here. I knew really quickly within the first couple years that I didn't want to be the chief of police. I thought at first I wanted to be the chief. And I'll tell you, like I was first and I was like the second or third in the academy of 40 people, right? I got the award for arrest and control for physical fitness. I'm an achiever, right? I played ball back in the day, football in high school, football in college. And, these are things that I thought that I wanted to do it. I went into it because I was thinking, okay, hey, I'll be a chief, or I'll go in and become a lieutenant, or I'll go in and do these things. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I say fortunately because everything happens for you, not to you, right? So everything that happened for me in this path of seeing where I went and in this environment, I started shifting to understanding what real leadership was versus this concept of leadership. And I'm respecting a position because you're in the position, right? So real leaders, in my opinion, and this is, they lead, right? And people follow because they believe in the person, do this, right? And then, of course, we've all been in those work environments where your boss tells you to do something and you do it because you have to do it, right? I think that a real leader asks somebody to do it or wants to do something and people are like charging at their sides going, let's get this, let's go do this. And you're like, whoa, slow down. All right, cool, let's go, right? I think that real leaders actually inspire to do it and build people into their own visions too. So I don't think that, it's nothing against the force. I don't think that that's there, right? So I saw the ceiling really quickly, right, in that aspect of it.
So we did a show a couple of weeks ago called Leader Shifting. So we kind of hinged it upon a certain feeling. Once you get a feeling to move you in a different direction, obviously you move, and that's usually attached to some sort of belief. So my question is, what was the feeling or what was the belief that shifted your leadership, pushing you in another direction?
So, shifting my, so as you asked that question, the things that shifted my belief were seeing how situations were handled, right? The leadership style that I didn't like, just that shifted my belief is do as I say, not as I do. You're seeing people do things that they're telling you not to do. You're getting scolded for things that this person that's scolding you was actually doing or you witnessed do, right? So these are leadership topics that, I personally saw. It's like, do this, but then behind the scenes, they're not doing it, right? So how can you ask somebody to do something that you're not personally doing? It's very difficult for me to understand that concept.
Man,
cool.
So as we move on to the creation portion, we want to drop that banner. What? Bam! Woo! Boom! Mike, how did you know that you wanted to create this new version of you and embark on the mortgage journey? How did you arrive at saying, hey, you know what? I want to plant my flag in the mortgage industry and help more people? Like how did you create that new identity of yourself?
Taking some steps in the wrong direction. So as I was going in the wrong direction, I hit a rock bottom. So 8 years into the force, I found myself in a position where I was empty, right? I was empty. I wasn't going to church. I found out that, a lot of things essentially that I could talk about happened for me at the time. It was everything in the world around me. I was supposed to be getting married. I was losing my fiance, right? I was supposed to be doing this, and I was losing my career at some point, right? So I came into a situation where, as a law enforcement officer, I got put into a position where I didn't agree with where they're at. And I'll get a little bit more vulnerable with all of our audience here. Is I got to a position where I was completely empty. I was making good money as a police officer, but I hit this, what I call rock at the bottom, which essentially I was empty. I was making money, but I was making bad decisions where I wasn't being a great husband or a great, at the time, fiance. I was in an environment where the decisions I was making were acceptable, but they weren't good decisions, right? So that's, for me, when I hit rock bottom. I was losing everything to that standard, and it shifted my perspective. It rocked me because at the end of the day, I wasn't going to church. I wasn't living with the morals, values, and ethics. And I'm being vulnerable with our audience because I think that that's where the real shift starts to come, because until we identify that, we can't change ourselves, right? So I identified that. I identified at some point in my career that I wasn't going down. I knew I was making decisions that maybe they weren't serving me the best, right? And I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, I'm this perfect guy, right? I want people to understand that is what shifted me, is hitting rock bottom. I went on, basically, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm completely empty. I need to step into, I didn't know what I needed to step into. I stepped into Saddleback Church. And for me, my testimony is that I wanted to hide. I wanted to sneak in there just to, see what it was and to listen to it and just see, like, okay, maybe this is where I need to go. I always believed that there was a Lord, and I believed that this is, a position that, I believed in it. I just wasn't practicing it. So I never was in the environment after I left, at 17 years old, which is what I was telling the audience earlier. I was apostolic Pentecostal. I ran from that, right? So that's what I had shifted from. And I wasn't making the moral, ethical decisions that I probably should make, which has led me into my relationship with the Lord, that essentially at Saddleback Church, I started plugging in, right? So when I started plugging in, it was, I'll say, a surreal feeling, right? The Lord basically working through me to work to change me as a person, right? So that was the biggest shift for me into creation, right? Into, Mike, this is what I have for you, right? Because I could have continued on being a police officer, played the whole game, but I was empty in that 28 years old, like, do I continue this, be a cop, and play those roles, or do I stop? Do I think about this? Do I pray on it and surrender my life to something bigger, right? So that was my shift. That was a position that I took, and I can answer some more questions regarding that, but that was my biggest mind shift, is hitting rock bottom and being able to start creating at that point based off of my Lord and Savior, the one that had guided and provided everything to that point, right? And I just surrendered to that, and that's what was the biggest change for me.
Wow!
So as we're going through this creation process, it turns out that a lot of times it's very uncomfortable, and in ways, rock bottom is different for everybody else. So how could you lay over the feeling of where your rock bottom was? Because we're all at the edge of our seat when we're at the edge of our seat. How can we get a layover of the feeling of how people can start to create from this process of not knowing where to go? Well, how did you do that? Like, where did you just come up with the plan?
Your questions are intense. I love it.
Hey, bro, are you all in or not? This is
it's called VESTED, bro.
I love it. All right, so I think you got to get sick and tired of what you have, right? You got to sick and tired of what you're dealing with, right? So whatever it is in life, it could be a drinking problem. It could be that you've got this problem, you've got that problem, right? all of these things. You got to be so sick and tired of what you're dealing with. You got to make a decision, right? And that's where, right, I'll tell you, looking back, shifting my perspective and taking myself and slowly but surely getting into this environment that creates who I am, right? Or creates the best version of myself. So that's 100% the answer is slowly but surely I've changed myself and got into this position where I can go down this route, and I can start to identify that when I look back that, oh, it was because I shifted and I started tying myself into the Lord. But at the time, I had to get sick and tired of the decisions that I made, right? And that's when my perspective shifted.
Wow.
And I decided to proceed on that.
Well, you look at it right now, Mike, you know, where you're at as a financial expert, a mortgage expert. Before we roll your video about TQL, tell us a little bit about how did you arrive at that moment, the name, you know, where'd you get the inspiration to create this video, and what's your message? I love in the video how you talk about what family means. What is your message to your organization, and what is your message about what type of people that you are as your company culture, your DNA, and who are you out there trying to help?
So not at the end of the day, the company culture and what we want to build with TQL and Total Quality Lending is me and my partner, who's the president, the owner of the company, Chris Poliska.
What's
from
up,
his
Chris? Woo-woo!
CP in the house. Yes. So essentially, we, you know, Chris and I actually have a really good story as far as how we connected. He reached out to me, you know, a couple years ago, and he saw what I was doing on the faith side, and he wanted to connect. He was going to have kids, and he wanted to just live a better life as well. And him and I really connected on the faith base. He's a Saddleback member as well. And the reason we created and the reason going into creating the song and what we're creating at Total Quality Lending is an environment where people can step in and be treated like family, where people can step in and essentially have a family. Maybe they don't have a family, right? Or maybe this is you know, an environment that you can step into to become the best version of yourself. And we've all been in those environments that you step in and people are beating you up, right? People are knocking you down. People are saying the things that, you know, you're like, ah, man, that hurt, right? We're trying to create an environment, right? Of course, we're going to have to get real sometimes, right? We're going to make our deposits and believe in people. But at the same time, we want to create an environment that lets people step into it, no matter where they're at in life. If they agree to the core values of what we're doing, how we're living our lives, right? Moving forward, that's how we've created the company. And that's what we're creating it around, is good people that need to get obviously homes and essentially take the next couple steps in the right direction to get to a total quality life. So we believe that not only our business partners, not only our loan officers, but we also believe that our clients deserve to live a total quality life. So we give that opportunity to everybody and anybody, right? Because we're not biased. We want everybody and anybody to have that opportunity.
Side note, asterisk, what the song? Tell me about the song.
Repeat, what's that?
I understand that there's this song. What inspired you to create this song?
So I flew out to Texas a couple of months ago, and I met a guy. His name is Joey Yak. Joey Yak is an incredible Christian. He's an incredible being. We ended up connecting, and he basically told me, "Hey, man, I love the mission." I was chatting with him over, you know, at one night out in Texas, and he saw what we were doing. He loved it. We ended up connecting. We did some marketing things together. And, you know, we told him, he goes, dude, I'm going to create a song. He created a song for us. And it's a big hit. You know, it definitely embodies what we're about.
Boom. Hey,
watch it.
VESTED community. As we roll this, listen to the words, laser focus to the message, and let's watch this for the next 2 minutes. Take it away.
We are TQL, total quality living, helping everyone live a total quality life. We are TQL, living a total quality life. In faith, family, fitness, wellness, and business, it's time to get it. All decisions that we make, especially the ones today, are the ones that pave the way for tomorrow. So just know at TQL, we're here to help you live a total quality life. We got a vision, we got a mission that's empower our clients to make smarter decisions in real estate, find better ways to meet their needs. Actually, we don't have clients, we have family, cause family many times just a blood-related stranger with the same last name. In our mind, families defined a different way, is by the core values a group of people share. We all got our own mission and vision, but when I need someone, I know they're right there. What do you stand for? Who can you count on when things get tough? Hold you accountable, won't let you give up. If you're ready to live a life of total quality, well, welcome to the family. We are TQL, total quality lending, helping everyone live a total quality life. We are TQL, living a total quality life. In faith, family, fitness, wellness, and business, it's time to get it. All decisions that we make, especially the ones today, are the ones that pave the way for tomorrow. So just know at TQL, we're here to help you live a total quality life.
Man, come on, baby. Total quality life. Hey, that's how you create, man. That's how you create. Tell us about how do people find you? How do the people get in contact with you? How do we highlight you and point people your direction?
I think the best way is probably like the Instagram. Instagram is the Mortgage Police.
Yeah.
Right. The underscore Mortgage Police. And yeah, that's it. We want to get that out there to as many people that want to step into it, right? Live in the total quality life. And if you heard the words, I think that the passion comes from, the reality of aligning our priorities based off of faith, family, fitness, wellness, and then business, right? Because a lot of us, and I'm not perfect at this. Sometimes we'll put business before this and that, right? But if we can really focus on aligning, right, that's where we start to see the shift in being a good father, right? Being a husband, being a good, person all the way around to be, to focus on that total quality life.
Well, when we're talking about here with the message, right, how the environment influences all of us, you think about it talks about the 6 degrees of separation, right? All the people that we're connected to and the vibrations and energies that we get from the people around us. And I'm very passionate about mindset association environment, right? Creating that supernatural force. May the force be with you. And when we talk about the environment, where we're at in the world today, how important do you think it is, brother, that people invest their time in the right environment? And how big of an impact is that on their lives when it comes to living out their calling and achieving their destiny?
I think that's probably one of the most important things out there. And, the Bible talks about it, and you start looking into this, right? And I can talk from experience, right? You can have the right intentions and go into the wrong environment. And it's much easier to be pulled down by people than obviously to lift all of these people up. It's just impossible, right? It's very, very difficult. So, one thing that, if you guys are taking notes, just understand that bad company can corrupt good character, right? Bad company will corrupt good character. And the shift, it will. It's not can, it will, right? I want you guys to understand that, because the reality is I can be Superman. I can go into this environment that's horrible, but if I'm there long enough, it's going to take me down. If I'm there long enough, I'll start to accept less. Right. So if I go into an environment completely opposite, an environment that's completely shifting it, let's just talk about the type of money that you can make. Let's change it from a business perspective. Most of this environment that I walked into is making 50 grand a year. I'm in this environment. I'm a King Tut making 55 grand a year. Right. versus walking into an environment where someone's making $2, $3, $5, $10 million, right? That's a different environment. You step in, you're like, that's not possible. No, it is possible. You have to shift your perspective. You have to look at the reality, and it is possible. So that's the environment that allows you to do that and creates that, right? You get yourself around those people, those top performers, and you look and you see, what are they doing? It's a little bit different than me, right? So I think that is the most important thing, or one of the most important things out there, outside of making the decision to go all in, because you can't step into something like this unless you go all in, right? You gotta, you can tiptoe into it, right? But there's some points where you're like, wow, this is pretty good. You can see it 5 or 6 times, but until you immerse yourself and you start believing, and you got to go all in. Like, I believe in this 150% with my whole heart, that essentially everyone has the ability, everyone has the potential, right? But unfortunately, most people won't take that next step. Most people won't put in the work, right? So those are the things that I would say environment's everything.
Wow.
All right, I got a little video for you. I was perusing on the YouTube earlier, trying to get something that applied to our concept today. And this is more of like a broad spectrum thing, but kind of how it transitions right now based on what you just said. It's a good time to throw it down. But while we watch this, I want you to think about the 3 environments that we've talked about today. You talked about the environment growing up in your family that helped shape you. And then you talked about being an officer of law that shaped you. And then the final one, well, not final, but like your movement into purpose of you becoming you. And it involved family and failure and God and everything else. So I want to talk about that environment, the environment that you're in now, and how we can kind of like look back a little and reflect upon everything that we've been through and honor where we're at now to find a good place to move forward later. So let's roll the video, and then we'll get back to this complicated question.
Love you, Coach D.
There's a lot of violence and anger, especially if you have some anger and violence in you. And the world is not just full of anger and violence, it's also full of many beautiful things. But sometimes we fail to see it because your vibration is tuned into maybe a negative state of looking. You see, we're looking through different filters. Like they say, if you put on yellow glasses, the world looks yellow. If you put on green glasses, it looks green. If you put on blue glasses, the way we think shapes how we experience things. There's not one single thing in existence that has a single inherent meaning. The meaning of a thing is in the perceiving of it. It's in the mind of the perceiver. As you change internally, you change your world and you change yourself. The world, you can say, this world is horrible. Yes, there are horrible things in the world too. But we're not going to get anywhere by just saying it's horrible, horrible, horrible. No, start to look for the things which are beautiful and just begin to, hey man, that's a really nice flower. It's a nice flower. I mean, what's the point of nice? Watch your grumpiness. Be aware of your grumpiness and stop taking ownership for that. It's just bad habits. At a certain point, everything can start to show its own beauty. I remember one thing that happened in Mumbai many years ago in the presence of a great master. As he was talking, one young man put his hand up and said, "Excuse me, sir, I want to thank you for your teaching. You've helped me a lot, and I really trust what you say. But if I am to be honest, I have to tell you this, I have to confess, I am always experiencing suffering." And the master said, "No, it's not true. You're not experiencing suffering. You are suffering, you're experiencing. You're not experiencing suffering, you are suffering, you're experiencing," which means that there's nothing called suffering. Suffering is about an attitude in which you meet things. It is not something that exists in itself. You cannot show a sample of suffering. It is a state in which you are meeting your life. What he did by answering in that way is he gave back the power to you to say, no, the thing is not out there. It's the way you're perceiving that shapes the way that you experience it. You believe so much in that you have believed it into existence, and it's become your experience, and that can change. So if we really spend a little time to look into it, and you understand that your world is shaped by your thinking, it's lived from inside out. It's not from outside in.
Hey man, that's a really nice flower.
Wow. Hey, you gotta find the beauty, baby. Find the beauty. Don't be grumpy. Come on, bro.
So, okay, here's the question. I cut it down. I spent that whole 2 minutes thinking about how to minimize this one. How has your belief led to your purpose?
My belief has led to my purpose 100%. Like, if you don't believe it, you can't do it. My belief that I'm going to change the world and make the world a better place is there's no doubt in my mind. I've already started doing it. So for me, my belief in my purpose, you have to have belief in purpose.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Hey, Coach D, as we transition to the Empower, let's talk about what we're doing here, right? Our goal is to inspire, create, empower, and to really help other people, other leaders out there feel empowered to do things, to live their purpose, to believe that they can go and do whatever it is that they want to do. And as we're talking about environment, Brother Mike, talk about the people, and you and I we're so blessed to have people that are leaders out there, right? And to name a few, you're connected very closely to Ed Milet, and I'm under the leadership of Dan Charlier, who's been running with Ed for 22 years. And just to name a few people that have empowered us to operate at a whole nother level, man. So can you just share a little bit about how being in an environment like the one that we're a part of, how has that empowered you to become this man that you are today? And where do you see yourself going? And what is one thing that you would share with the community to encourage them to connect to environments that are empowering them?
Yeah, the Ed Milet has changed my life, bro. And from a level that, I believed in myself, and I've always believed in myself, but I never thought the levels that I could get to, and I never really dug as deeply into the thought process until I saw what they're actually doing. I always thought, okay, I could do this, and I can create this. But when I really started following Ed and his content, just to be very transparent with you, the content alone, from his Instagram page to his Facebook or to his podcast, the #1 podcast in the world, the content he puts out to everybody for free has drastically, just that alone, not being directly coached by him, has changed, and it did change my perspective. So stepping into an environment where you see people like Dan Charlier and Ed Milet, right, working at another level. See, what still continues to amaze me from my perspective is that he has, realistically, financially, no reason to work his butt off or lead from the front. But at the moment, he decides to step into a field or an environment of leaders and continue to do this, not for the money, because he's got plenty of money, but for the feeling of helping people and for the good pat on the back of a good and faithful servant at the end of the day. Like, you did good, right? You did good in the world. You've changed this many people's lives and you helped this many people. So seeing that from that perspective, right? I think all people, or most people that commit to it and do get in the right environment and stay committed for the longest, a long enough period of time, eventually, right, will hit financial freedom. But then you got to ask yourself, what are you going to do then? Right? What would you do with your life? What makes you really happy? Right? So for me, it's really helped me a lot, because I told you guys I became a cop because I wanted to help people. Like, deep down, I wanted to help people. Right? So essentially, when I make 2, 3, 10, 20 million a year, right, which I will, the conversation we're going to have is going to be, what is my fundamental belief and why am I still doing it? Because I believe in people and I want to see the best version of people.
I got a quick question. So take the current environment that we're in, whether it's politically or health wise, what if you're in an environment where there's nothing that you can really do to change how uncomfortable it is? How would you go about changing your mind to find alignment with what you want to get out of something?
Start surrounding yourself with the right people. I think that's the quickest way. Everybody has access to the right mentors. See, you just don't utilize them. So if you can step in, and this is what the power of social media has done for everybody, is you can pick a mentor. He might not know who you are, but you can follow their content, right? You can plug into an environment on social media nowadays and focus on what is this person doing? And essentially, by plugging into one or two or three people, if you want to get out of that environment, I think that you can, maybe I'm not saying go into social media and sift, because all you're going to have is just junk, right? That's the reality. I don't consume much content at all on social media, right? But find the right people. And this could be something as small as, like you said, we want to take one step. Find one person to start following and see what their life's about, and see that you want to be like, right? That you see, hey, man, this guy's good in faith. This guy's happy. This guy's this, right? He's good in his faith, his family, his fitness, his business, right? Find somebody, one mentor, and follow him. Find somebody and do that aspect of it, because that little shift, right? Maybe you're in the wrong environment. Maybe everything around you is horrible, right? But if you can find that one person that will pour into you, and they don't have to pour into you, like talk to you and let me hold your hand and take you here. They're putting the content out like Ed Milet is. He's putting the content out to help people, right? So that would be my suggestion right away. If somebody's in a bad environment, the first step would, hey, look, you can go and follow somebody like that, or step into an environment, where we can help you, right? I know, as far as, from all of us on this call or on this Zoom here, is really focusing on, who wants to help me. And you can genuinely tell, like, you talk to somebody, what's the underlying issue? What's this guy want at the end of the day? What's he trying to get out of me? Right. And if you really feel like, okay, this guy's just trying to get something, that's why I love Ed's content. That's why I followed Ed, and then the Lord put me in his backyard. Right. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. So those are the conversations I would say, probably just try to focus in on something. So all this economic, and I'll kind of, leave it with this, with all of this economic uncertainty, everything that's going on, I have been so focused on what my tasks at hand is, and focused on not listening to distractions. And, I shared this, and I'll share it again, and I'll keep it very simple. Like, I know the end of the story. So if Donald Trump gets president, great, right? If Biden gets president, great, right? Now, we all have some political views, and we're not going to go there. But the reality is, I'm a winner. And if I know that I'm a winner and I'm surrounded by winners, we're going to win, guys. Yeah. That's the fact.
Come on.
And that's empowering.
Wow.
Listen, that's empowering. In the middle of all this uncertainty, all the drama, there is no uncertainty. There is no drama. If your focus is there, that's where you are. But like you said, if you're a winner, then you're too busy winning and you don't have time to put up with all that other stuff. So thank you for helping us inspire, create, and empower. I think everything about your environments help shape you to become who you are. And now you're a part of this environment. You're part of the VESTED environment. And we couldn't be more grateful, man. Thank you very much for coming on our show. And look, it was a really good time meeting you. And what else you got for us? I feel like you got one little more nugget. What is it?
If there's one thing, Mike, that you could say to the VESTED community, bro, that's on your heart, what would it be? Anything.
You're enough. You're enough. Serious. Every single one of you guys out there is enough. All right, we're all created equally. Right? And that's the reality. You're enough. Right? You might feel like you're not, right? You might have some exterior factors that make you feel like you're not enough. You can't do it, but you can. Right? And just, believe in yourself and give love. That's the reality. Right? Love can change the world. Right? And there's a lot of people out there that love that would love to help people. Right? And there are good people out there that love to help people.
Wow. Man. Thank you, brother. Thank you for your time. as an entrepreneur, business builder, building your empire. And I'm in agreement with the 10, 20 million plus coming. Father, husband, man, thank you so much for allocating time to be here, man. And you just know that we're here, the Vested community is here, and anything we can do to support you in any way. I mean, you know we're connected, bro. So just know we want to just say thank you and honor you, man. And tell your wife thank you for letting you be up this late with us, man.
Of course.
Hey, Coach D, any other thoughts, man, before we bring this baby home?
Just gratitude. This has been an interesting experience, the whole Vested thing all around. And the more people I meet, the more I'm inspired and the more I want to create. And just your story alone empowers me. So thank you for sharing with us tonight. A nod to you, Jamar, my friend, tag team that I love.
Come on.
This is Vested, everybody.
Yeah.
Here we are on Thursday.
Woo! You look at this here.
Jamar.
I want to share this with the community, that with the environments, you got to remember that some environments are going to drain us. They're going to suck the life out of us. They're going to deplete us. They're going to make us have doubt. They're going to create these unwanted vibrations and feelings. And there's other environments that are going to charge us. They're going to lift us up. They're going to thrust us forward. That's going to empower us. It's going to help us inspire us to do amazing things. And so as one vested person to another vested person, as one person who's vested in life to another person who's vested in life, you out there, make sure you choose the right environment. More than ever in the time we're in today, going into 2021, it is so important that we laser focus on our environments, and then we do the best we can to help other people, to encourage them to stay in power environments. And like brother Mike said out there, there's so many people out there, and the world we're in today with virtual technology, that you can connect to someone so easily. If they're going to feed your spirit in any positive way, we encourage you to plug into them, just like you're plugged into us here at Vested. And here's the last question. Are you vested?
Yeah, man. Thank you, my friend. That was fun.
Mike, thank you, bro.